In the world's greatest country, in its most pivotal state, lies Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley, an economic hub that's as vibrant as it is ideologically eclectic. Its just over 700,000 residents will play a critical role in deciding the course of American leadership and thereby the world. Who are the thinkers, workers, and leaders that will decide our collective fate? Join me, Moshe Kurtz, as I walk through the valley and find out. Thank you for joining me today as I walk through the valley with Mayor Matt Tuerk, the 43rd mayor of the City of Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love the applause. Hopefully it came on the audio as well. We are recording live here at Congregation Sons of Israel, and I want to thank all those who are joining us live in the audience today, those who submitted questions that we may ask later, and of course to our dedicated synagogue volunteers who provided the bagels, cream cheese, and lox, and all the assorted fruit and items that you are currently enjoying. This is actually not Mayor Tuerk's first time here at the synagogue, nor is it his second. He visited us for the high holidays on Rosh Hashanah, which is the Jewish New Year. He also came for the installation ceremony that we very much appreciated. And we also brought the show to Mayor Tuerk when we did the menorah lighting this past winter at Allentown City Hall.
That's right.
It was the inaugural menorah lighting, and God willing, we look forward to doing many more together with you.
I anticipate that happening. I'm very happy to have a good relationship with the Congregation Sons of Israel.
Yeah, and I actually, on a little bit more of a poignant note, this is related to the Jewish community, but it's actually related to the broader Allentown community. Just recently, Jeff Glazer of blessed memory passed away. And in addition to being a beloved member of our local Jewish community here, he was a beloved member of the broader Allentown community and served most recently as the city controller, but also was on city council and was on Allentown School Board. And I just wanted to give you the opportunity to share what Jeff meant to the folks in City Hall.
Thank you. And that's, I attended Jeff's service and it was beautiful. I think that Rabbi Tornberg did a really nice job. And Peter Schreier spoke about Jeff's service to the community. And his nephews spoke about how wonderful he was in their lives. And his son spoke about what a great dad he was. The thing that was missing from that service was a word on how important Jeff was just in that workplace, in his last workplace of City Hall. And he was, Jeff was just such a lovely person, like a presence. I loved seeing Jeff coming in. And I can't say that for everybody, right? I don't always, sometimes you see people going, oh my gosh. Jeff,
I appreciate the honesty.
No, well, I mean, and with Jeff, no matter what was going on, no matter where you were at, like I loved to see him. I loved when he'd send me a message that said, can you come down to my office for 5 minutes? Because even if it was hard, it was still like I got a chance to spend time with Jeff. Jeff at City Hall he would come in with Artemis all the time, his dog, and everybody loved giving Artemis dog treats. But behind the scenes, Jeff was also just such a lovely guide and mentor to everybody who came across his path. Jeff was known, or should have been known, to everybody who ran for office in the city of Allentown as somebody who would sit down and spend time walking you through the city budget.
Oh, wow.
So that you understood what was going on. He spent when I announced my candidacy back in 2020, in October 2020, literally nobody knew who I was. They polled, and I polled at like 0% name ID.
Wow.
And Jeff didn't care. He still invited me to come sit and review the Allentown budget with him, and spent 2 hours with Mr. Nobody.
Wow.
And I just felt so honored by that. But he also, he spent time with people in my office, young women who were getting their, early start in city government, and Jeff spent time with them and made sure that they understood how it all worked. That is the type of mentorship that is exceedingly rare, not just in public service, but in the country at large. And I'm deeply it's among my many appreciations of Jeff, and I deeply miss his presence in the city of Allentown.
Yeah, and we deeply miss him as well. And I love that you actually rewound back to 2020, which, at least according to what you claim, you didn't have as much name recognition back in the day. But I have to say, I don't know if it's official, but the mayor's motto, I'm now addressing everyone in the audience here, the mayor's motto is showing up. I feel like that's the word. Those are the words that I see most commonly: showing up, showing up, showing up. And the truth of the matter is that there are videos of you, well, some people take and some you take personally, of doing your jogs and running around Allentown, and you're showing up in all the different quadrants. And I think something that's become a signature is that you take videos and you share reflections as you are going out for those jogs. I'm curious, what's the connection between jogging and giving us the updates on current events?
I mean, it's like so to go back, when I was running for mayor, one of the things that occurred to me was that I was running anyway. So I was training for, I can't remember which marathon, but marathon training, no matter how fast you run, still means at least one day a week a long run. And a long run can be anywhere from 2 to 3 hours, and you're just out, and you got to cover a lot of miles in that 2 to 3 hours. And at some point, I decided that I was going to run every street in the city of Allentown. Allentown has 420 miles of streets, and I said, I'm just going to see them all. 420 miles. It took me a few months, and it took me a lot of running down back alleys and running through streets that some of you have never ever heard of. There's a Kurt Street in Allentown, by the way.
I discovered that here on the West End. Yeah. One day we had to do a family photo there. Yeah. I was almost excited. I thought there was a place called Kurtztown, but then I realized it was Kutztown. It was missing an R. I'll let our listeners know we have an interview with Philip Cavalier, his new president, coming up soon also.
So as I was running, it helped me formulate what kind of mayor I wanted to be. And one thing that occurred to me is that what Allentown needed at that moment especially was a mayor who showed up all the time, and a mayor who showed up in a really authentic way and in a really present way, right? So I was showing up and I decided that I wanted to be the most accessible and most approachable mayor in the city's history. I just am kind of outgoing naturally. I loved wearing the sticker on my chest that said, Matt for mayor, because I felt like it gave me a license to talk to anybody in the city. I was like, I could just go up to anybody and say, I'm running for mayor and I want to talk to you about what's going on. So I just, through a combination of running, being a Spanish speaker, and being able to talk to a whole new group of residents that hadn't had as Allentown's a majority Latino city, being able to talk to residents who didn't have the ability to talk comfortably in their native language to city leaders opened things up a lot. Showing up it was rewarding.
Well, something really nice. Tell us about this new initiative where when someone moves into Allentown, you show up at their door.
Yeah, and I have a part 2 coming. So I am a data guy. I look a lot at the data to support some of what we do, some of the initiatives that we launch. And I noticed a couple things. One, that there's a lot of people. Allentown is a majority Latino city now. It's also a city, when you look at the data, where there's a lot of new arrivals. People are moving into Allentown all the time. We continue to grow. But when you look at the data, it looks like something like 60% of the people who live here have moved into Allentown within the past 15 years. Oh. So it is there are just a ton of new faces in Allentown all the time. And I wanted to make sure that people who are moving in felt welcome.
Wow.
So I was looking at the data on home sales, and there's about 750 single-family homes that are sold each year to an owner-occupant. And I did the math, and I was like, I bet 750, that's about, what is that, 60 a month that I could go kind of knock on every one of those doors and say, congratulations, number one, on buying a home in Allentown, and then welcome to Allentown. I want you to feel like you belong here, because the hope is that we can get that transiency number down a little bit. When we welcome people and make them feel like this is their city, I feel like it connects them, it roots them here, and it makes them feel like this is a place where they want to sit, they want to stay.
That's really amazing, because what you're taking is, I think we're the third to largest city in Pennsylvania. That's at least what it says on the Allentown Facebook page.
It's true, yeah.
I assume somebody must have, looked over those numbers. And what you're doing is you're trying to give us that small town feel at the same time, which is the mayor could come knock on your door and introduce himself.
Well, it is. And, Allentown is, so we're no longer Allentown. We are the city of Allentown. And it's an important designation for those few people who have been here since the 60s or the 50s or the 70s. And there might be some of the audience who've been here that, oh yes. You're exceedingly rare, right? In another world, you might be considered the old timers here. I've been here for 22 years. I'm an old timer at this point. Most of the people in the city have not been here as long as I have, which is wild to say that for somebody who's only been here for 22 years. But so while we are the city of Allentown now, we still do retain some of that small town feel. And I want people to recognize that this is a big city with big city challenges and big city opportunities. And I'm leading a large city government. But I also want people to know that, like, no matter how big your city government, whether you're leading a place as small as Albertus or as large as New York City, you deserve an opportunity to engage with your mayor and with your local leaders.
That's really beautiful. And I actually want to take a moment. Let's rewind. I always like to ask my guests this question. Did 10-year-old Matt Tuerk always have ambitions one day to become the mayor of a significant American city?
10-year-old Matt Tuerk in 1985 was
That's when Back to the Future came out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the only thing I know from 1985.
I was probably watching Back to the Future. I was living in Colorado. My family moved to Colorado from Pennsylvania in 1984. I was in Colorado scheming at that point on how to get back to Pennsylvania, but certainly no political ambitions. I thought I was going to be a comic book artist. Maybe I know you were talking to Commissioner Pineda about comic
you
books.
saw that.
I was a big comic book kid, a big video game kid, but no.
Are you more of a DC or Marvel?
I was more Marvel at the time, but I was a Batman kid from age 3. I would run around, my brother and I would run around in East Stroudsburg, me and my Batman underoos and him and his Robin underoos, and we just...
Yes, this is before the Dark Knight iteration of it in the early 2000s.
It was a much more innocent thing. But we, I was not thinking about public service. I was interested in art and in comics.
Well, I remember at your State of the City event, which again I appreciate the opportunity to participate in it. It was a punk rock theme actually. So I mean, tell us about your punk rock roots.
Well, let me bridge the gap. So I was a comic book kid. My first job I had like 4 first jobs, but among my first jobs is working in a comic book store in Colorado, and I discovered a comic book called Love and Rockets, which was about. Part of it was written by 2 Mexican brothers in LA, and one of the storylines was about punk rockers in LA, Mexican punk rockers in LA, and it opened the world of punk rock to me. And punk rock was very inviting. It was a place where I just felt community, and I felt like I was at home, and I love the music, and I love the ethos of just getting up and doing something, right? Like not getting paralyzed by too much analysis, do something and hope for the best sometimes, but also an ethos of standing up for the little guy. Punk rock was very like, we were on the fringes of society. We were the downtrodden. We were the kind of the people who just didn't fit in.
Rage Against the Machine.
I was listening, oddly enough, I have the Rage Against the Machine first record. I was listening to it this morning.
Oh, wow.
In my office. Yeah. But that punk ethos, the punk community was welcoming to a teenager who was trying to figure it out.
Well, that's what I find really interesting. And I wasn't about to get back up on the stage and interrupt you in the middle of your State of the City address, but I find the contrast really interesting that punk was always about rebellion. It was about kind of sticking it to the authorities and sticking it to the government.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of funny that you started off in punk and now you find yourself in a leadership position in the government.
Crazily enough, I think like one of the most punk and rebellious things that you can do is be in local government. Because in local government it ends up being more about helping people, and in local government, particularly like cities across the country, every mayor has this experience. You show up on day one and your first task is to like just go right at the status quo. Every mayor who takes office and looks at a process or a policy says like, well, why do we do it? Why do we do it this way? And invariably somebody is going to say, because we've always done it that way. And it is just like, that can't be. And so it ends up, for somebody who's a rebel, like that is an inviting environment. That is an encouraging way to get involved. So there are, I think, ample opportunities in local government for punk rockers. I invite many punk rockers out there to get involved, to check it out.
Hey, absolutely. Look, I could appreciate it. I'm a little bit more in the classic rock realm, but I do like metal as well. So Iron Maiden, Metallica, that kind of route. So I could appreciate your taste in music. I listened obviously to a little bit of Green Day because I'm a millennial. So apparently Green Day is classic rock now. Do you know on 99.9 The Hawk they play Green Day now?
I'm not surprised. Everything becomes a classic at some point.
I'm already going through a midlife crisis. I'm too young for that. I want to get into the governance of Allentown just a moment, but something that I actually found really intriguing is that you're a very worldly individual, and you've gotten to see different places in the world. And I know that even when you're vacationing, it's not really a vacation. You're like taking notes on how other
vacation. What's that?
Yeah, vacation. But what's this idea of vacation? One of the questions I sometimes ask people in the interview is, what do you do during your free time? But the people who are generally worth interviewing don't have free time. That's what I've noticed. But when you are going on educational trips, or you'll tell me what they are, throughout the world, you've been able to meet other mayors, other local government leaders. What have you seen in other countries or other American cities? And if you had to pick one mayor or city that could serve as your model that you emulate and say, that's my North Star for Allentown. I want Allentown to emulate that. Is there something that you have in your head?
There are too many of them. There's so many great mayors out there, and it is hard to pick, and there's so many great cities out. I'm a city fan, and I'm a fan of mayors, and I'm a fan of local leadership in government. I'm lucky in that I can pretty much talk to any mayor in the country or any mayor across the world. I was just in Madrid. Bloomberg Philanthropies brings mayors together from across the globe about once a year for something called Bloomberg City Lab. This most recent trip was to Madrid, where I got to spend time with some of my favorite American mayors, like Brandon Scott from Baltimore, Mayor Larian Gaylor Baird from Lincoln, Nebraska is absolutely phenomenal.
So you had to go to Spain in order to meet up with the American mayors.
Well, I get to see them here in America too. Mayor Kate Gallego from Phoenix. But I also, in Madrid, I got to meet some more international mayors, and I clicked immediately with Mayor Moeda in Lisbon, Portugal. We have like not necessarily the same challenges between Lisbon and Allentown, but we have a lot of the same thinking about how to address the challenges of our cities. But the most impressive of those mayors, I think, and certainly a mayor who is going through some of the most difficult times that any mayor has ever gone through in history, was Mayor Vladimir Klitschko in Kyiv, Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
This is a person who has all the same mayor challenges that the rest of us do, right? He's trying to improve transportation for his residents. He's trying to create economic opportunity for his residents. And he's also in the middle of he is leading through a war. And he's somebody who, what you end up doing a lot as mayor is not just what I've always said about mayor is that people run for mayor thinking that it's a cognitive effort and that it's just about being smart and having a great idea. It turns out that being mayor is at its core an emotional job. And Mayor Klitschko is somebody, mayors like myself, when somebody is killed in your city, you make an effort to talk with the family, to be there to console the family, to be the emotional anchor for your city. This is a person who he's going to speak to the mothers of people of soldiers who were killed in the war, the Ukrainian war. That's a whole other level of being mayor. He told a story about it gives me goosebumps. He went to visit a mother whose son had just been killed in the war, and she said, "You don't recognize me, but I've met you before." Wow. Because he had been to see her the year before when her other son had been killed. And she said, "You're not going to see me again because I don't have any sons left." Oh. And that being there and being able to stay strong for an entire city and for a country and kind of for the world, that is a mayor that I emulate.
Absolutely. But that's really powerful. Yeah. And, I am thankful that Allentown, we certainly have challenges like any other city, but thank God we don't have missiles raining down here in Allentown. But there are smaller challenges that we have here that are probably not unique in nature. And I'd love to just get a sense of the direction, the vision that you have for Allentown. So got a few questions over here on some local items that are on our minds. One of them, which is like the big boogeyman these days, is data centers. In South Whitehall, they're dealing with it right next door. I think, Upper Macungie, they recently had a meeting about it. Virtually every township in every city in Lehigh Valley right now is reckoning with data centers. And my understanding is that one of the contentions is that they're noisy, they're bad for the environment, nobody wants it in their backyards, but apparently America needs it if we're going to compete with China, with other nations. So this is, I believe, unless the news changed as within the past 24 hours, which it could have.
Might have, it often does.
There was a consideration to have a data center at 2401 Emmaus Avenue here in Allentown. And I know right now it's, I think, more within the purview of city council at the moment, but just I guess give us a high level understanding of how you think the city of Allentown should approach data centers. Cautiously.
That's the highest level. I'd say that in that particular case in 2401 West Emmaus Avenue, it's actually in the Planning Commission's hands. And I think this is one of the important things about this data centers topic. And I mentioned mayors that I look up to. Mayor Gallego has been dealing with this in Phoenix for a while now. And she's somebody that I've had a chance to speak to. I'm a member of Climate Mayors. We, as climate mayors, issued a mayor's playbook on data centers. One of the issues is that the industry has done a terrible job communicating with American people about what data centers mean, what they really are, right? So there's a ton of misunderstanding about data centers. At the same time, there's a ton of questions about what data centers are today and what they look like in the future. It's a rapidly evolving technology. I was talking to a data center developer a couple of days ago who said, look, it's the difference between this is an iPhone 16 and this is an iPhone 14, right? Like what we have today, the 14 is going to be the 16 tomorrow, and then whatever is next after that.
It's one of those your work phone, one of them is your personal phone?
That's right, yeah.
That's smart.
The crappier one is my personal phone.
They provide those to rabbis also.
But the point being is that there are a ton of unanswered questions about data centers, in part because we can't see the future. So every city should approach data centers from the perspective of protect the public health and safety first. If you as a developer cannot answer my questions about the health and safety of our residents, then we have to say pause.
Absolutely, because water pollution is one of the concerns. We definitely, we know the Lehigh County Authority works very hard to give us pure water. We don't want that to be affected.
That's true, and it's a concern, and it's one of the places where, again, the industry can do way better communicating. I don't think that water is among the greatest issues with data centers, but it's the one that people immediately jump to.
Right.
They've just done a terrible job communicating about it. So we, as whether it's Allentown or any municipality, has to be cautious about this because they're big buildings that use up a ton of land, and whatever you do in that big building, it's going to be there for a while.
I think that's one of the challenges also. I'm just speaking as, your regular Joe civilian. I don't even know who the people are behind these data centers. All I know is it's like a UFO, like there's this big looming building, which is also going to appear. And I don't even know who's accountable for it.
I was talking to somebody when I was just in Long Beach. I had a chance to sit on a panel related to data centers, and somebody from Meta was presenting, and they said, the challenge that you have right now, Meta is the company that owns Facebook. They own, I think, 28 data centers across the United States. I said that nobody knows that that building there is your data center. And when you don't know, when you're not advertising, it just creates a lot of questions in people's minds. Like you said, it's a UFO that descended.
Yeah, we're all anxious. We're we don't know what's going on. It's Area 59, whatever metaphor we want to use for it. Another question that comes up, and I think this is a little bit more unique to Allentown, but not exclusively here in the Lehigh Valley, is the question of housing. And I'll split into two parts. One is there's a perennial challenge that there's an unhoused population in Allentown, and there's always this question of, are they supposed to be moved? Are they supposed to go somewhere else? Do they have their own agency? This is one of the perennial questions that's come up here in Allentown. So that's kind of part one. The second part is for those who, thank God, are able to be housed, but affordability, like many places in the area, not just Allentown, is starting to become more out of reach. We are still much more affordable than the New York metro area, and I thank God for that. I look at the pricings here on the West End, and even though they have gone up in the past few years, they're still like half the amount I'd be paying for a house in New York. So we're still a really awesome place for people to move out to. But there is that specter of the housing supply and the limitations and the prices going up in the market as a result. So what's your approach to just how we handle the unhoused population, and to those who, are willing and want to be housed and are, have the jobs, have the resources, but affordability seems to be further out of reach?
It is true. It's not just true here in Allentown. It is true across the country. So again, going back to mayors that I admire, Mayor Todd Gloria in San Diego is the new president of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Our conference is going to be focused almost exclusively on housing for his presidency, which will be the next 12 months, coming up with solutions that will allow more affordable housing, or let me rephrase that, more housing to be built in our cities, American cities, to make housing more affordable. On the homelessness side, this is all, when you say perennial challenge, I mean, that's a perennial challenge. Like, it is not just true in Allentown or Bethlehem. It's true in Philadelphia. It's true in Chicago. It's true in Denver. And it's certainly true in Los Angeles and Long Beach, where I just was. The work, there are no good solutions to addressing homelessness. The people who find themselves without shelter are there for a host of different reasons. It is not clear what works. There's no magic formula to resolving. You can't wave a magic wand to make it go away. There's no one lever that you pull to resolve it. You have to build housing. You have to work to treat the underlying mental health or substance abuse challenges that a lot of the people who are on the street are facing. A lot of things have to happen at once, and it's not exclusively the responsibility of cities. Cities have a role to play. I think sometimes people look at mayors who are out there and getting stuff done, like filling potholes or making the parks nicer. They look and see, well, mayors can do this stuff, so mayors must be able to do anything. And so mayors are the ones who are going to solve the housing problem. Well, mayors actually, the biggest role we play in solving a housing problem or addressing homelessness or resolving crime is building the conditions for success. And for a city like Allentown, we've invested in our zoning code. We've significantly reformed our zoning code to allow for more housing to be built, to make it both more affordable for those new residents and also help us to build housing for the people who are presently unhoused. I'll say you're lucky that you paid only half of what you would have been paying in New York, because not too long ago, it was a third. Allentown is one of the places in America that has seen the greatest increase in home price. And that is because everybody wants to be here, and we simply cannot. And when I say Allentown, I mean the entire Lehigh Valley metro area. It is very difficult to keep up with it.
We're a victim of our own success.
Very true.
There's a higher demand, so hence the prices go up. I'm not an economist, but that's what I've been taught. So, I mean, I like that paradigm shift you were giving about what mayors can do, what mayors are able to set people up for. What do you find people misunderstand the most about the role of the mayor? Like conceptions people have of it that just simply aren't true.
I think I was thinking about this. I had a visit from a friend who is the former mayor of Rockford, Illinois. He came to have dinner with me last night. And among the mayors, there's a case study, a Harvard case study on Mayor Morrissey's work to resolve homelessness in Rockford. He's like the homelessness mayor. So I like talking with him once in a while. And we were having dinner last night, and he was saying that he and I are both strong mayors, right? Strong, but
you work out.
I do. I run. I'm not. But we're strong mayors in that we are the chief executive for our city. There's other mayors like that, but not all mayors are the same. There's some mayors who are members of their city council.
Right. There's
some mayors who have a council manager relationship where there's a city manager who basically does all the CEO stuff for a city. Mayors across the country are very different, right? In terms of the types of power they have within their city. I don't oversee our school district, for instance. Mayor Parker in Philadelphia oversees the school district there. I am the mayor of the City of Allentown. I do not have any oversight of the County of Lehigh, which provides the human services like children and youth and mental health and behavioral health and aging. So those are powers that I don't have. Mayor Mamdani, I think, is the mayor that everybody is looking at right now. And they're thinking, when I look at social media, everybody in every city, if it's Chicago, that people are in Chicago are like, we want our Mamdani for Chicago. If they're in Seattle, we want our Mamdani for Seattle. If they're in Louisville, Kentucky, Louisville needs a Mamdani. I'm sure there's somebody in Allentown who's saying, we want our Mamdani. The reality is that Mamdani has a $100 billion budget. He has oversight of schools, transit, everything. Like New York is like a city state. It's unlike any other place in the world. The powers that he has, independent of his politics, right? You might disagree with lots of different stuff about him, but
you're describing his capabilities.
His capabilities, the things that he can do are unlike the things that any other mayor can do for a host of different reasons.
Yeah, the New York mayor's race feels almost more like a gubernatorial race than it does a mayor's race. Am I wrong in saying that?
I think it is unlike anything. People who try to draw lessons from the model of New York are wasting their time.
Right. Though the interesting thing is, and you'll let me know if you want to go down this route over here, is that some cities, I think in virtually every city nowadays, it's going to be a Democrat, but the question is what kind of Democrat is going to be in there. And those who were supportive of Mamdani, they wanted someone who was going to go on the far progressive end, who was going to be a huge fighter, who was going to stick it to the establishment.
Yep.
And I'm curious.
As a protest.
As a protest, right. So what is your sense of the temperature? What do you think people are looking for nowadays?
I think that people who like what they, not to pick on Mamdani too much, but his politics.
We have examples here in the Lehigh Valley, but I don't know if you want to go there.
Well, no, what I can say is, so look at Los Angeles. So right now, Los Angeles just had a primary election. And Mayor Bass, who is a centrist and is a moderate and is just trying to get things done, won first place in the primary. Her challenger, who was somebody who just kind of picked on her from the left, from the progressive side, won second place. She had a challenger from the right as well. I believe I'm a centrist. I'm a moderate Dem, right? And I think most people who are mayors end up, even again, go back to Mamdani or Mayor Johnson in Chicago, their politics kind of get left at the front door of City Hall because the reality of being a mayor is that there's two things that mayors say all the time. These are like the stock mayor phrases. You'll hear some mayor make this joke if it's not me. One, there is no Democratic or Republican way to fill a pothole, right? It's just like potholes are potholes. And the other is that there's three political parties in America. There's Democrats, there's Republicans, and there's mayors. Some of my best friend mayors are Republicans. Daniel Rickenman in Columbia, South Carolina, Matty Parker in Fort Worth, Texas. Our former president of the U.S. Conference is a guy named David Holt. He's a Republican mayor of Oklahoma City. Excellent leader, right? When we talk, politics are not what we're thinking about. We're thinking about how to build more housing in our cities, make our cities safer places by reducing things like gun violence, and create economic opportunity for our residents. So the politics end up being completely ancillary. Like we might get charged up, every 4 years in November, but at the end of the day, we go back to leading our cities.
And I like that approach, which is you're focused on the governance. You're focused on how to make our lives better. And, by necessity, there are differences between the red team and the blue team. Something I do like to ask everyone who is in a political office is what they admire or something that they can learn from the other side. So given that you're on the blue team, you're on the
mayor team.
You're on the mayor, sorry, the mayor team, yes, but you do have a blue streak somewhere on some record.
Yes, sir, yes.
Is there anything you feel that the Democrats could learn from the Republicans? Anything positive that they can take away? I ask the same thing to Republicans vis-a-vis Democrats, don't worry.
It's funny. I feel it can. Like I'm tempted to give like the interview answer of like, what's your greatest weakness? Like the reality is, I think that Republicans, particularly in the most recent era, they do a good job of winning elections. Like on the pure political side, like they are doing an effective job winning elections. When it comes to like, so I'll speak about a specific Republican who's not a mayor. David McCormick is our senator here in Pennsylvania. I think that Senator McCormick, we disagree about a lot of things, but I think Senator McCormick is focused. There is a focus on helping Pennsylvania get ahead economically. Now, there's places where I think he should focus less and other places where I think he should focus more in terms of promoting Pennsylvania industry. But broadly speaking, he's not super political. He's focused on getting stuff done. And I think that is something that I appreciate about Republicans is that they have a goal and they work toward getting there.
And something that I think many people who are your constituents appreciate is your willingness to go across the aisle. I've met politicians that if they're on the red team and they're in the room and they see a politician on the blue team, they can't talk to them. And it becomes like middle school social politics, which is like, did you just talk to so-and-so? Oh my God, you can't hang out with us anymore.
Yeah. There's that trap of being like, you don't want to be in a picture with that person. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm in a picture with lots of people who may have some beliefs that are different than mine.
Yeah, but you're a good guy. You get out there. Something positive that I think Allentown has been working on, and the Morning Call covered it a couple issues ago, is the Downtown Allentown Ambassador Initiative. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what you guys are doing downtown? I know there's a beautiful new arch that welcomes you when you come in, but what else is going on?
Well, I mean, we don't have enough time to talk about all the things going on.
How about this? Give me three highlights. If someone is visiting Allentown, whether it's a resident or whether it's a tourist, what are like 3 stops they got to make?
Today, part of the challenge, and I have to upfront apologize for the construction. So part of the challenge of being in Allentown is that everything is changing all the time, right? I'm super excited about the improvements that we're making to the intersection of 7th and Hamilton that'll increase pedestrian access to Center City, that'll just help traffic flow, where there's a bike lane going in there.
Nice.
It's not necessarily like a tourist destination, but it's something that, broadly speaking, Hamilton Street, for those of us who have been here for 22 years or 50 years, Hamilton Street looks nothing like it did 20 years ago. It's seen a massive facelift. Part of that is what people should be visiting. Old things that will be new things. The Allentown Art Museum is still, just for my money, just one of the best places possible to visit in the Lehigh Valley. There's a Rembrandt. There is, there's a Tiffany glass. There's a Frank Lloyd Wright room. It's an amazing, punch above its weight class art museum that won't be in its current spot for long because the Allentown Art Museum is building a brand new art museum at the corner of 10th and Hamilton.
Wow, there's a lot going on. There's new police headquarters that's being built as well. There's a lot of good stuff.
And some of it is recent ads, like the Da Vinci Science Center is an absolutely stunning place to bring kids to. The Archer Music Hall is turning into my favorite place where I can see punk bands like Gorilla Biscuits or the Mountain Goats, the bands of my youth.
I love to say I know all the bands that you post about. I kind of know more like Billy Joel, Eric Clapton. So we'll meet in the middle on something.
I think there's a record in the green room somewhere. A record. But there's those phenomenal features of Hamilton Street that include great restaurants like Rosa Blanca, P.A. Rye, Okacha. But if I'm going to a third thing, I would say, like, you can't come to Allentown without visiting our park system. And everybody who lives here knows that already. Anybody who visits here quickly realizes how phenomenal our parks are, and we keep investing in them. So one of my proudest investments is the Bogart's Covered Bridge, which is the destination spot in Lehigh Parkway, had fallen into disrepair. The paint was chipping. The bridge itself was sagging. The roof was getting leaky. You couldn't run over it without tripping. We are rehabbing Bogart's, a project that was talked about forever, and my administration is actually getting it done. So any of the Allentown parks are worth visiting. Doing that 6-mile loop in Lehigh Parkway is an essential one.
I love that. And I'm very grateful for the park system here. It's really gorgeous. One of the things that I think, again, this is not unique to Allentown, but it's an issue that many very dense population centers, cities have to deal with is, unfortunately, there's been a few acts of violence that have occurred within the city of Allentown recently. There was just a teen shooting that occurred as well. It actually affected someone who works at a grandson of someone who works at the JCC. The email was just sent out today. And it really affects our community. And I guess the question is, we were talking about people who are unhoused and how there's so many different things that are leading to those symptoms. But what can Allentown proactively do? And I know that it doesn't all fall on the lap of the mayor. There's many different organizations, there's the residents, there's many different parties that need to come together. But what could we be doing proactively in order to address the epidemic of gun violence and really knife violence or any violence that's occurring within the city?
I'm going to name drop another mayor, a favorite, a former police chief in Tampa, Mayor Jane Castor. She's awesome. She and I were talking this weekend about public safety, and she phrased it in a way that I really liked. She said that our job as the city is to help neighbors make their neighborhoods safer. It's not that we are the ones that make the neighborhood safer. That's up to the neighbors. It's up to the residents. It's up to the people. It's up to the families. It's up to the synagogues and the churches. It's up to all of us to make our community safer, to create opportunities for young people. The city helps where it can.
Right.
And we help through policing, but we also help through our recreation programs at our parks. We help through our Allentown Health Bureau, making sure that people are getting the support they need. That's what we have to do, is make sure that people are supported in that way. The specific levers that we might pull as a city, violence goes beyond young people, right? It is not exclusively young people that are committing violence, but we do know that the greatest factor that is leading to the death of young people, or the leading killer of young people in America, is guns. We must find a way to interrupt the flow of guns into the hands of young people. We have to find a way to interrupt the flow of guns into the hands of people that should not be handling guns. I believe that there's a place for hunting, and there's a place for shooting on the range, there's a place for responsible gun ownership, but right now, guns are getting into the hands of people that should not have guns. And a 17-year-old kid on the street in Allentown should not have a gun. And there is an adult somewhere in that chain who, you can fault the kid who pulled the trigger, but I'm putting a lot of the burden, a lot of the responsibility on some adult somewhere that put that gun on a path to that child.
Yeah, and that's really what troubles me the most, which is where are the adults? Where are the guardians, the parents, or whoever is supposed to have responsibility for these teenagers? That's what really troubles me, is that how are they able to get hold of these? How are they able to commit these acts of violence? Why are they not being supervised?
Well, and there's, I want to make sure that people don't dehumanize the children. That it's important to recognize that those young people are young people. They're young adults. They are human beings. And to me, one thing that we should work toward is not dictating to young people what they should be doing, but asking young people to be more involved. And I think that the purpose of engaging young people in a city, in getting them involved with programs or asking them what they think we should do better or employing them, the purpose is not to reduce violence. The byproduct of good youth engagement is a reduction.
If they have better things to do with their time and more productive ways to engage, then they won't need to engage in these kind of acts.
And the best part about it, though, is that if those more productive things, don't lose sight of the fact that they're productive in the first place. So if young people are helping us design our parks, if young people are helping us think about what a neighborhood needs, that's great. So all by itself.
And if we treat them as adults, we're hoping they'll rise to the occasion and act with the maturity and responsibility.
I think if we treat them with respect,
yeah,
they're still young people. They're not adults, right? If you're 17 years old, I'm sorry, you're just not an adult. You might be an especially mature young person, but you're not an adult. But you are a human being. And again, in Allentown, this city, 25% of the residents of this city are under age 18. That is, we are a very young city. I think 33% of our residents are under age 25. Allentown's median age is 32. It makes us one of the youngest cities in the entire Commonwealth. It makes us one of the youngest cities in the country. So this is a young city. A young person, if I can speak to the camera for a second, if I'm speaking to the young people, I continue to make the ask that you reach out to me. You can find me on TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook if you use that. I'm not a Twitch guy yet. I feel like I need to do some Twitch streaming with a young person. But you can reach out to me, and a young person did reach out to me, and she pointed out, she sent me an email last night. She said, we're not the future of the city, we're the present of the city. And it is time for adults, for the people who are in leadership, to start to engage us, not as future leaders, but as today leaders.
Very powerful. All right, let me ask 3 more questions, and we'll try to keep it tight, so that way I know you got important things to do today, Mayor. We don't want to hold you too long. Okay, number 1. These are the audience submissions. So this one is verbatim.
Okay.
What are you most surprised to find that you enjoy and that you struggle with about your job? Sounds like an interview question, you know?
Yeah. The greatest struggle is trying to pace myself. I think there are so many things that we can do to make things better in Allentown. It can be hard to, particularly, I can't do it all. There's 900 amazing people who work in the city of Allentown. I ask them to do a lot, like a lot. And they are doing a yeoman's job keeping up with what I'm asking them to do. I ask them to do a lot because I'm talking to residents a lot, and residents are letting me know we should, have a crosswalk here, or we should do something around getting young people involved in this neighborhood, or we should plant trees here. Wouldn't it be nice if this was a park? I take all of that resident input very seriously, and I make sure that it gets to our people. And I would say if there's a surprise, and it shouldn't have been a surprise, but if you don't already have the highest of opinions about public servants, I encourage you to think again. The public servants, the people who serve the city of Allentown, are wildly passionate about service, right? Even the person who is collecting the litter baskets is somebody who is just like they love what they do because they make it better for our residents.
I remember before one of the snowstorms, you did a nice video with one of the gentlemen who drives the the snow truck mobiles, whatever. What are they called? The
snowplows.
Snowplows. Thank you. The snowplows. So that was nice, just like featuring the typical people who aren't usually in the spotlight. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Okay. Penultimate question. This one I actually edited slightly just to soften the impact a little bit, but I will read the edited version of it. Here we go. The most recent congressional primary in this district saw an influx of millions of dollars in outside Democratic spending, mostly to benefit one particular candidate who happened to win the primary. How should voters in this district interpret outside spending? What can we do to ensure that people still feel confident that their vote matters?
Well, I'll start with what people should do or how people can be confident that their vote matters. Get to know your local politicians.
Mm-hmm.
Money doesn't necessarily guarantee wins in elections, right? Billionaires run for office and they lose all the time. We saw this in California in the governor's race, where Tom Steyer is a billionaire. He had all the money in the world and he couldn't win the election. We saw it in the New York mayor's race, where Mayor Mamdani ran against Cuomo, and Cuomo had a lot of money and he still lost. So money doesn't fix that. Money doesn't make everything. The confidence that your vote still matters is it is the politician themselves, right? Like when if you don't vote, we know what happened. Like we know that your vote doesn't matter,
mm-hmm.
right? If you do vote and it doesn't go the way you wanted it to, you still voted, right? At least you did something about it. And I think that's important for people to recognize. The best way to ensure that your vote doesn't matter is by not voting.
Okay. And now for our ultimate question. I get to ask this for just a little bit longer because July 4th is rapidly approaching. The 250th anniversary of the United States of America is this July 4th. And Mayor Tuerk, I would love to know, what does that mean to you?
This is the hardest question. It's legitimately the hardest one. I just went through some media training where they asked me hard.
You need media training?
As it turns out, they were like, I don't think you really need this. But so they asked me really hard questions. They posed as like far left, and they posed as far right, asked me hard questions about housing, about crime.
So where do I rank along?
I know.
It's okay,
a whole other universe. So they asked those questions and I did great. And then they asked me about the 250th, which was to them a softball. And I was like, and Allentown is very different in 2026 than we were in 1776, obviously, but also very different than we were in 1976.
Mm.
Allentown has changed so much, and my feelings about not just the city of Allentown, but the country are really complex. There is something to be proud about with the American experiment. But we still have so far to go. And there's a temptation to say, I don't want to celebrate any of that stuff. Like, this is a country that was founded on the backs of enslaved people. And like, why should we be celebrating something like that, where people have been made to suffer for so long, that our 250 years of history have been 250 years of challenge and struggle and grief.
Mm.
So there's a temptation to say, I'm not celebrating any of that.
Right.
But I think you can also put aside those 250 years of history and instead celebrate the 250 years ahead of us and think about how we might spend another 250 years doing better than we did, no matter what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Recognizing that the future can be brighter than the past, even if you are quite the opposite and you think that the 250 years to this point was the greatest accomplishment of humanity. What can you do now to make the next 250 years to an even greater accomplishment?
Right.
So that's when I think about 250, I think about it from that perspective, that we still have so much that we can do if we can figure out how to welcome new voices in. And I think that's why Allentown is an interesting place to be at the dawn of the the next semi-quincentennial of the country.
Whatever the term is.
However you say it. Allentown's a place that has so thoroughly changed and has figured out somehow how to navigate change. And we didn't figure out everything out perfectly. But I think that the eyes of the country could be on Allentown as a place that knows something special, right? And if we can succeed here, I think it portends good things for the country and I think for the world.
Amen to that. Mayor Matt Tuerk, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you joining me as I walk through the valley.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me as I walk through the valley. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate and subscribe to our show. If you have questions or would like to book a live recording or have a speaking request, please email rabbi@sonsofisrael.net. This is Moshe Kurtz. I look forward to having you join me next time as I walk through the valley.